But let's jump right into some items. You can now, and our link for this is actually something that Christian popped up. Topic 1 is going live in Facebook Stories. So, Christian, you found this out. You can now use Facebook Live inside of Stories in addition to creating animated GIFs. So to check if you have this feature, launch the Facebook mobile app and see if you have a story strip underneath the search box. From there, tap on your story and look for the live option at the top, and it's actually in the top left. I checked this before we went live tonight. I do have the live feature, so I can go live from stories, and I think this is similar to going live from Instagram. I think it works in similar fashion. So, what are your thoughts on this, Donna? Is this something you'd be using live straight from your Facebook story?
I would. Now, I don't have it. I did check, and I still don't have it. And I would, yeah, and I would use it just like I really appreciate having live for Instagram, of course, and so I have a different audience that's with me on Facebook in business than I have on Instagram, as you might imagine. But yes, it would be something I would test out as soon as I have it.
Good, excellent. And do you use the Facebook stories right now?
Yes, I actually have started using the Facebook stories, but I haven't really put a strategy to it at the moment. Right now, I think I'm just sort of trying to feel my way through what the best strategy would be for me to use in terms of business.
Yeah, I hear you. I do not use the Facebook stories at this point. Live, we obviously use live. So, Christian, what are your thoughts on this? Something you'll be using, or just play around with a little bit?
So right now, I mean, this is only available for Facebook profiles. I think that overall, I think, again, kind of coming back to what Donna said, you have to have a strategy for all of these different channels. And I consider this almost, a micro channel of Facebook. It's a fantastic feature, but it's one of those things where you kind of have to say, well, what do I actually use this for, like in my business? I would say this: it's not going to, because people are going to do this, but it's not going to be one of those things where you want to put everything into stories. You want to be selective about what you share. I do want to mention there is a feature, by the way, within Facebook Stories now where you can turn it into a post. So, for example, I could say, "Hey, this only goes into stories after 24 hours," or I can also make it a post. And I would say this: I mean, if it's going to be you kind of have to really pick your battles. Like, what is the importance of this? Is it something that I only want people to see temporarily, so they tune in just that day, or is it something where hey, everything becomes a post basically? I kind of think you need to be strategic about what you drip out to your audience with this. So
I think that goes with, we had quite a few topics last week that were similar to that. You just have to be careful what you're sharing and how much you're sharing to people. I think that one sums that topic up. Should we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do that.
So, Facebook begins testing stories on the desktop. Now, this would probably increase my usage. So, this is from TechCrunch. Came out August 3rd, and they're saying, "Great news, folks. Facebook Stories, the shameless Snapchat clone that sits above the newsfeed on Facebook's mobile app, is now rolling out to Facebook's desktop site. Here, the Stories feature is no longer at the top of the page, but is instead off to the right side, where it's at least a bit less intrusive. A small question mark icon appears in the Stories module as well, which will explain the feature's purpose when hovered over with your cursor. The explanation simply states Stories consists of photos and video that are visible for 24 hours before they disappear." So I have had this on my desktop. I have not used it before, but since I'm almost always in front of a desktop, it is much more likely that I will use this than I would use the Facebook Stories. But I have to say, between Instagram Stories, Snapchat Stories, and Facebook Stories, I'm probably going to lean towards Instagram and Snapchat. Donna, what are your thoughts?
Oh, for me, I would use it more once it comes to the desktop. I am at my desktop more than I am anywhere, so I'd be more likely to use it. But I tend to use Instagram more for those type things, but I think the likelihood for me will be greater as a result of it being desktop accessible.
I agree. That's been my experience. Christian, what do you think?
I like the fact that it gives people choice. Basically, I think the fact that you can use this on desktop or mobile, wherever kind of your preferences. I think that's going to be really the key thing here. Again, it's going to come back to having a strategy as well for live story or for stories, basically. For example, like hopefully I'll be able to add to this, for instance, from my desktop or my laptop and have it sync very easily. So I think that's going to be really important for people.
I agree. So Joe and Mo are both saying that that they're going in and out. The connection's going in and out for them.
Okay, let's see. Let me double check on that.
So the next item, and I asked Mo if he got the storm that missed you, Donna, just in case. In case it's on his end, but Joe is in LA, so Mo is getting lots of rain that avoided you, Donna. So Joe's in LA and having, and then actually I have pretty clear feed right now. So Christian, our next story, and I'm going to post this. I forgot to post the last one. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep up with the chat here. Mo's getting broadcast interrupted. Topic 3.
Let me check something then real quick.
Okay. So this is how to add stickers. Topic 3 is essentially how to add stickers to photos on Facebook. Now I've been using a feature similar to this on Twitter for a while now. Twitter's had this ability for a while. In fact, I just did it for one of our old guests, Nicole Abood. She had something that was she had a speech, and I wanted to wish her well, and tagged a bunch of our legal friends, and shared something like this. I like this. I think you can have fun with the stickers on photos and images, and so this is something I'll probably be taking some advantage of. How about you, Donna? Any thoughts on this?
No strategy, if you will, but definitely will use the stickers.
I
like the idea you just shared with what you were saying, how you were using it. I think that's a great idea. I think it's just another level of engagement. It's more personal. So again, I feel like everything's got to have a strategy for use. And so your example's a good one.
Yeah, it was just in support of, and we are getting Joe Wilson saying that it's better now for video, and he's still getting it good there. All I did in that situation, and I probably would do it on Facebook too, is I took a photo of her before her speech started, and I added a couple of little, kind of emojis and stickers that made it a little bit more festive to wish her good luck, and shared it out and tagged a bunch of our legal friends who also retweeted and so forth. So if this was on Facebook, I think it's a good way to make it a little bit engaging, especially when there's something to celebrate like that, or to wish somebody luck with, congratulate them, or something to that effect.
Plus, you doing that, it really makes it more memorable as a result of doing it in the way that you're describing. So it's personal, like you said, and then it makes it more memorable as a result, the way I see it.
Yeah, I agree. Christian, what are your thoughts on this?
I like this whole idea of stickers. I've been saying this for the longest time. I really wish Facebook would let us make our logo into a sticker, so that we can brand our own content. Because right now, for example, if I look at what's there, I mean, I will say this works fantastic. It's very easy to use. You can add stickers, you can resize them, but you're limited to what's in Facebook's sticker store. which essentially is the same one you've had for Messenger for a long time. Overall, I mean, I like the fact that you could do this, but I do wish there was some sort of branding option available, and maybe there will be. Maybe Facebook will come out with, a Canva editor, because that's another thing I think is going to happen. They'll start to let you create your own graphics because they want you to obviously stay on their site. But I like this feature. I mean, I think it does need some personalization, but hey, if I'm a business, here's the thing. I just need to be selective about which stickers I use. There's some really neat ones in there. I mean, I think we looked at one, if you watch that video, I think we looked at one that was like tied to maybe Batman or something like that, but it was like, knockout or something like that. So it's like things that people can use for, somebody's going to give a presentation and whatnot. Like lots of cool stuff that are available to you, provided you pick the right ones.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
By the way, Nick, how are we doing on Facebook? Are we? Is everybody seeing the feed? If you're seeing it in the feed, just let us know. Maybe leave a comment.
Yeah, Joe is telling us he had it all good there for a while. It's back for me right now, but the connection is glitchy.
Okay.
In and out. Okay. Lots of glitches tonight.
Okay.
Our next item up. Yeah. Give me a second here while I mute the other feed. And welcome, Danica. I'm sorry if you're having trouble seeing us tonight. We need to really come up with an alternate solution for the show here. The next item up tonight is Facebook Groups app is being shut down. So thank you for using the Facebook Groups app. This comes directly from Facebook. Facebook Groups builds community, brings people together, blah, blah, blah. They went into this. They wanted to tell you about all the things that they've done in groups and how they're really focusing on groups on the app, on the Facebook app, and on Facebook.com. But because they're focusing on groups in those areas, they're discontinuing the independent Facebook Groups app for iOS and Android. This means you won't be able to log into the Facebook Groups app after September 1, 2017. All of your groups from this app will be available on the main Facebook page, where you can continue to connect with all your communities. I have to say, when Facebook began creating multiple additional apps a few years ago, they lost me with that. I'm glad to see that they're eliminating an app that I honestly don't use. I don't think I've ever downloaded this app. I do use Facebook Groups quite a bit, but I do not use this app, and I'm glad that they're eliminating unnecessary apps. Donna, what are your thoughts?
Now, I did use the app, but I must say I didn't use it frequency. The value I found in utilizing the app was that I had this one-tap access to looking at what was going on in the groups that I am within. So I found that helpful. However, I didn't use it enough that I'm going to miss it, because most of the time when I wanted to be on, I was already on Facebook, either through the mobile app I would access Facebook, or from the desktop where, as you said, I could get to my groups. So it's not going to be something I'm going to cry over that this is gone, because it was a very infrequent use, but it was convenient.
Yeah, and that some of the apps are convenient, but additional apps. But I spend I am in the desktop so often that I just don't need the extra apps. And Christian, it looks like we are no longer live on Facebook.
Okay, let me see.
It appears that we have lost the live feed.
Okay, let me try something. Okay, so the good thing is we are recording to disk, so we can probably stitch these things together. Let me see what's going on here. So I'm getting a Facebook error. That's interesting.
Well, if we are recording, we can continue it, and
we'll do that. Okay, we'll do that, and then because we shouldn't have an issue. I mean, my CPU's at like 50%, so.
Yeah. So
okay.
let's roll into our next Facebook item for tonight. we have the breaking news 19 or 20 hours ago that Facebook is introducing Watch, a new platform for shows on Facebook. It is essentially TV on Facebook with episodes. Television episodes on Facebook. It'll be available across desktops and laptops, mobile, as well as TV apps. They're excited by this announcement. They have a short video to show what they're offering. Now, it's not available to everyone yet, so there are going to be, I imagine they'll be testing this with larger publishers to begin with. Donna, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is Facebook trying to continue their evolution into the television game?
I do think that, and of course I think it's, maybe it's supposed to be a little bit of a competitor to YouTube as well. We'll see. I also think that, from the Facebook marketing perspective, for them as a company, it's another draw to their platform. Then for us that are marketers, the uptick for us would be when they roll it out so that we can create our own content and utilize that.
Yeah, I think that's what Christian and I would be interested in. I think you are absolutely right that YouTube is probably what they're aiming for. I also think that other aims would be their Netflixes and Hulus and cable TV. Christian, what are your thoughts on this?
I love the idea of this. I think that, yes, it's going to compete with your YouTubes. But I think really kind of when you look at things, it's also going to compete with Snapchat because Snapchat obviously is also they've released, I think it was last week maybe, TV shows, essentially. I think that, I like the fact that Facebook's going to be doing this. Overall, I think that it also plays very well for people who have Facebook Live video that actually make a show out of it, kind of like what we do here at with Social Chatter. Because we basically, we have a regular show that people can tune into, and then this way they can get notified when we have new updates and whatnot. Essentially, you can create seasons off of this. In this case, we could have a 52-show season if we do, doing it every single week. It's the same kind of concept for any business. I really hope that, honestly, they actually don't. I know they're going to, but I really hope that they kind of make this more of a grassroots effort as opposed to let me tap into some of these mainstream, media companies, just because I think that a lot of the media companies don't really know how to change their story for a Facebook TV show,
Right.
the same thing and just repackage it essentially versus coming up with something that's original. And so I'm wondering, hopefully Facebook will either encourage people to be more original with it, or find some new ways to kind of develop subplots for characters.
I agree. It'll be interesting to see how the content changes. A side note to this is that I went back after our story, one of our stories a couple of weeks ago on the Snapchat micro content that NBC is putting out, their news station, and I checked that out, and it wasn't bad. I wouldn't say that it was bad. It's sort of micro news snaps. But it's definitely not, it might be for a younger crowd. It's certainly not how I would choose to get the news. I think I will still, I'll still use Twitter and other online resources to get my news, but it is certainly an interesting innovation for the news on Snapchat. Which leads us to our next story, which is a Snapchat story. In Snapchat ad story, this is from the Snapchat blog itself. They're introducing advanced mode for Ad Manager. Since we launched the Ad Manager a couple of months ago, we've heard from enterprises, brands, and agencies looking for more advanced tools to efficiently scale their efforts. So today we're excited to announce advanced mode. So just click inside the Ad Manager, start using a range of free new features designed to make building, managing, and scaling your campaigns even easier. They've got an audience library, which would allow you to create a list of your favorite Snapchat audiences, so setting up future campaigns is easier. Automatic permutation testing, With a few clicks, you can create hundreds of permutations of custom audiences and add creative variants. Then they have bulk creation and management, a media library, and power reporting. They've got several different options. Donna, have you done any training on Snapchat's ads or ads manager, or have you used the ads at all in your service?
Not in Snapchat. As a matter of fact, I made a conscious choice within my business not to use Snapchat because it's not where my audience is, and one's bandwidth is only so great. And as we all know in this field, so many companies feel that they have to be everywhere, and we all know that we've got to decide where is our audience. And that's where we should be. So for me, I decided that was one more, right now, distraction that wouldn't benefit my company right now. So no training on that, nor any utilization of Snapchat right now.
Okay, excellent. Christian, what are your thoughts on this? Have you played with this for any customers?
I don't have any customers actually wanting to use Snapchat right now to advertise, but I will say
at the time.
I do like the fact. I'm very, very, very excited to see that like Snapchat's actually trying to be proactive and actually like automate some of the ad creation process. That I think is really important because that's actually different from what most of the other sites do. So essentially they borrowed from Facebook Power Editor here, and then they are they're adding in these features, which from what I can tell, I mean Snapchat's got some really good tools I think for their ads manager. To make it super easy. They might be trying to, learn a few things from Facebook, because Facebook obviously is very successful with it. So. All
right. Excellent. Okay. And I too, I am an avid user of Snapchat. I am not an avid user of Snapchat ads. Not at this point. Not to date. I have not used it. But let's move on to our next story. Google is said to launch AMP-based Snapchat Discover-like feature. This comes from TechCrunch, August 4th, 2017. Google is creating a visual publication format for media companies similar to Snapchat's Discover based on its AMP mobile optimization technology for web pages and called Stamp, according to the Wall Street Journal report. The program is said to be announced as soon as next week and could include a range of publishing partners, including Vox, CNN, Washington Post. The Stamp name is said to be a portmanteau of AMP from ST from stories, the report claims, which is a term commonly used for one-to-many short-form expiring visual content among social service providers, including Snapchat, Facebook, and Instagram. So, Christian, I don't know what this is saying. I don't know what Google AMP-based is. I honestly have no idea what this is talking about.
This is it's essentially Google AMP. Google AMP is basically Google's way of basically building a better mobile presence. They basically are stripping out a lot of stuff on websites, looking to have it load faster, all that sort of stuff. I'd compare it to Facebook Instant Articles, but where this feature will actually be very beneficial is, I think, in search results. So first off, does that make sense to everybody? I guess from an AMP standpoint, what AMP is?
I guess. I mean, it's something I don't think it's anything I've ever used, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I'll use it now.
Okay, well, so
here's I'm with you.
The way that AMP works is typically you can install this, like if you're in WordPress, you can install a plugin very quickly. That plugin will then convert your content for AMP. So therefore, when somebody on Google goes to load it, it will load the AMP version of the content.
Okay.
That's basically what it's doing. Now, what this story is doing then is it's actually creating visual, like basically it's taking photos, videos, that sort of stuff, and creating a visual version of it to show it at the top of your search results in Google.
Okay.
Which essentially would be, again, it's kind of shifting from the let me click on links versus let me see what looks interesting to me to view. That's essentially what this is doing.
So it's giving you a visual option instead of the text hyperlink option.
Yes, and so on mobile. Okay. So basically, and again, that's kidding. It's on mobile, and what it does is it creates slides, swipeable slides. So instead of on mobile, tapping and tapping back and all that sort of stuff, we probably have these cards at the top that you could swipe to see and whatnot. So that could be a major advantage to a company.
Yes. Because when I see that, like you said, it's highly visual. It's going to catch my attention more than a link would catch my attention in something I'm looking for. So that would be a big advantage.
Yes.
Now, when is this to be rolled out? Because and this will be on my Google app, my mobile app.
It would be through mobile.
Yeah. So when is it rolling out? They don't say a date or anything like that, but I don't.
They said it's going to be rolling out. They actually said next week, from what I heard.
Okay.
And maybe the article I was checking as well, but there was some other people were talking about how it would be as soon as next week. Yeah, here it is. The program is said to be announced as soon as next week. Could include a range of publishing partners, including Vox, CNN, Washington Post, and so forth. And the stamp, they call it stamp, basically, is the program. And they basically ST stands for stories, and then the AMP part is the Google AMP part.
Right. Okay.
And where this could be very useful also would be, in Google's case, if I'm loading content and these have little cards that people can swipe to get rid of, I could also use that as sensors, basically, to tell me, you know what? Maybe this is, or Google could say, hey, maybe this is content we don't want to be showing because people seem to be swiping it out a lot.
Right.
Kind of only brings the best things.
This doesn't mention it, but I'm assuming that some of this content that they'll be showing will eventually be ad content as well.
Probably.
Yeah, I think that's where they're going with that. It doesn't say that, but it would certainly, just like now they've got what I think I see 4 ads in my search results now rather than it used to be 2 or 3. So imagine this is one more way for them to bring in ad dollars. So let's see, I think it's our last story for tonight, unless I missed something, Christian. I've got Instagram.
Yep, last story.
All right, Instagram tests letting you add a friend to live stream. And this is, you are the one who brought this to my attention, Christian. I don't have it. I didn't have it as of yesterday when we chatted about it. This came out on August 8th, and this is from The Verge. Instagram is testing a new feature that lets you stream live Instagram broadcasts with a friend in split screen mode. So something that we've seen Facebook do only recently as well. So adding a friend to your broadcast is simple. Just tap the new icon on the bottom right. It's shaped like 2 smiley faces, and select a friend to add, which will split your screen vertically. Everything else about live Instagram videos, hearts, comments, and the option to save it to your story afterward works pretty much the same. So I didn't have this as of yesterday. Have you checked this today, Christian?
I've not checked it today yet, but I can actually do that while we're doing the show.
Yeah, I think this is a necessity for all live features. Little surprise. I get that Facebook did it on the mobile app first. It is still not something that we're using because we try and do a 3-person show. So I would like to see more of the 3 to 4 option that we've seen on no longer existing platforms. But what are your thoughts on this advancement, Donna?
I am glad to see this dual ability come about, because I think that there are a lot of different marketing opportunities for use. I do use Instagram Live. For example, I think, I think it could be a great way among many to say, let's say that you have an event and you have speakers. It can be used as a sneak peek of what's to come in the presentation that this speaker is going to have. So you could use it to do that precedes an event. maybe even portions of it during an event, like outside the workshop room, and to do things like you're doing now, which is having a show, and it's limitless, I think, in terms of what you could do from a marketing side. I do think that since it hasn't launched globally for everybody yet, that now is the time to start preparing your strategy for use so that you can be ready to roll with it when it does roll out, is what I think.
I think that's a good plan, and you may want to try that by practicing on the Facebook platform leading up to this. I just checked again while you were talking, Donna, and I still don't have it on Instagram. But I think this is something. Instagram has become such a major player in advertising that I think that this is something that businesses may want to consider doing and consider collaborations and that sort of thing. Christian, what are your thoughts?
By the way, so I don't have the feature either. I just checked, but I also checked my App Store updates as well. Overall, I think that here's what I think. Actually, I think that Facebook is actually using Instagram as a testing playground because they've implemented this for, or they're testing this on Instagram. They also have a different way to use live video on Facebook, where you kind of have to swipe somebody in. So I think that I'm actually, because I think at some point, I mean, both these networks have to converge. They have to, because everything, if I go on Instagram, everything I'm seeing is the same exact stuff from people on Facebook. It's just like, okay, I happen to have shared that on Facebook, maybe a week ago, but I'm also sharing this on Instagram. It's not different. They don't have a different strategy for each channel. So overall, I mean, I think that having live video on Instagram, I think it's a great idea. But I think what we're going to see is Facebook's going to say, "Hey, we're going to pick one or the other," and then go from there. Maybe Instagram, for instance, will actually become a separate app that is within Facebook's newsfeed. That's kind of the direction I think they might be moving with this. I'm glad that they have the ability to do live video and to do split screens. I actually think it's a pretty elegant solution, actually.
Yeah, I think that's good. And Christian, I think we're up for some tools, huh?
Yeah, we have two tools. Just a quick reminder, everybody who's watching. I think we only got we basically are recording this, so we'll have that up. But want to thank everybody for watching so far with us. We had a ton of topics tonight. We will have a blog post recap. I think there's some other items as well that are going to go into that. So let's talk about tools real quick. I've got two tools. One of those is called Echo Podcasts. This is basically a podcast discovery app. That's probably one of the biggest challenges with podcasting. And so the way that this app works is, for example, Nick and I, we're friends. It could pull our podcast feeds into this. And so basically it could say, hey, you know what, this is what Nick listens to, or this is what your friends are listening to, and then show me those new podcasts that I might not know about. Makes it super easy to find all this. You still can use a regular podcast app, but it basically is helping you bring together all of the podcasts that people are listening to that you might not be aware of.
I like this. I do like this. I've been spending a lot more time listening to podcasts these days, while I'm working. I don't have the commute that a lot of people have when they generally listen to podcasts, but if I'm just got the head down in the computer, I just turn a podcast on in the background. And this would be a great way to find some new listening material. Yeah, I like that. Are you a podcast listener, Donna?
I've started being more geared toward that. Whenever there's, say, 10 or 15 minutes, I could just be, working around in the office for something and then turn the podcast on and I'm listening to that while I'm doing something else and learning as I'm doing something else. I like podcasts.
Yeah, I do too. Christian, are you a regular podcast listener, Christian?
I do. It really, again, it comes back to the commute. I mean, if you don't have the commute, it makes it harder to find the time to consume podcasts if you're, creating content and trying to consume. So I do listen to them, but I would say also, if you're a podcast user, you do need to, you kind of need to be selective about what you're trying to listen to, and because if you're trying to do work and it's something you have to really concentrate on, and you're listening to a very in-depth podcast, it can make it really difficult to absorb that information.
Right.
Yeah. Now I can't listen to a podcast if I'm doing something analytical. Right. But if I'm doing something very mundane, that doesn't require that brain processing power, then it's helpful.
Yeah. What are some podcasts you listen to, Donna?
Well, there's Mike Stelzner's podcast, and Mike Gingrich has a podcast. I think I know you know Mike.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I'm not listening to as many as I think I would like to, but let me say that to that point, I think you can have too many to listen to because there's not enough time. So I think that for me, I'm trying to pick maybe my top 5 that I think that I could start regularly listening to. So that's really where I'm at. So when you brought this tool up, I was thinking that would really help me as I begin this re-entrance into my interest in listening to podcasts.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoy several different ones, and I think this would help identify those that would be maybe more fun to listen. So when I'm in the mundane tasks, that's when I like to turn on a podcast, or there's several that I like. The Real Virtual Show with Malia Probst. I like stuff that Mitch Jackson has done, that I participated in as well. And, of course, Nicole Abood, our previous guest who I mentioned earlier, she has a good podcast. And so those I like to listen to. But then sometimes it's just nice, especially if it's a quiet day and I'm just doing the routine stuff. I like a serial or something like that where it's in-depth. I really enjoyed Crime Town, where our friend Vincent Orlek is originally from. It was about Providence, Rhode Island. There's some really great content that is made for this, made for podcasts. So I think I will enjoy this particular tool. Chris, you're next.
So last tool actually that we have is Screenflow. Screenflow, it's a tool for recording your screen, or let me say screens, because you can record your desktop, your laptop, obviously, but you can also record your mobile device. You can create animated GIFs. And then behind the scenes, Screenflow has a built-in editor. So you can use this to record, for instance, tutorials, online courses. But then you don't have to also have a separate editor for it. You can do all that stuff within Screenflow. And they've added some really new features for the editing piece as well, to let you do some transitions, all that kind of stuff. So that's Screenflow 7. And I bring that up because, I've been using them since like version 3. And it's a fantastic tool. I use it for pretty much any screen recording that I'm going to do. If it's a course, fantastic for that. If I'm going to record something shorter, I use some other little apps that I have, like Cloud App, for instance, that just makes it really quick to record stuff. But Screenflow is fantastic for every other type of screen recording.
Very cool.
What do y'all?
Very.
Do you use any tools for screen recording at all?
I do. I use Snagit a lot. It's easy, it's fairly intuitive. However, what you're talking about, I like the fact that there's so many devices you can use it with, and because you're saying mobile as well, like as it your phone too.
Yeah.
All of that. Now, is this an iOS product? Is this just for
it's
Mac?
Mac. It's strictly a Mac app.
Strictly Mac.
Yes.
Okay.
They don't have an iOS recording app yet. I'm wondering if that's going to be their next iteration. By the way, they're the same company that makes Wirecast as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with Wirecast. Haven't used it, but I'm familiar with Wirecast.
So they don't have an iOS app, but I will say Apple has iOS recording coming in iOS 11, which will be out in a couple of months. So that's actually going to be built in. So you can.
So are you saying that this that Screenflow, that you can also record what you're doing from your phone? Is that what you're saying? That's one of the other features of it, is the ability to record. Okay, which is great, because
you have to plug
that's great
into the computer to be able to then record it. But
right.
Yes, so it does that. It's very seamless. Actually, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
Very cool.
Nick, do you use any particular apps?
I do not. I rarely have a need to screen record in my line of work, so I don't use it. But this would probably be, since I do have the Apple products, that's probably what I would, or Mac products, that's what I would use.
Very cool.
And that wraps it up for episode 100.
Wow, this has been great. I've enjoyed the conversation, and I've learned a few things, and being on the 100th episode, it's pretty awesome. And congratulations to the two of you on the 100th episode.
I really gotta congratulate Christian on that. He's been doing it. He's been cranking it out for 100. Yeah. I came in late, so well done, Christian.
Well done is right. Congratulations.
Thanks. It really is. It's teamwork. I mean, it's about working together. And
right.
Just helping one another out. Keeping everybody motivated, basically. So.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
By the way, I want to apologize to everybody. If we had any recording issues, we're going to work to try to get those fixed. I think it's an internet connection issue, actually. The show is running great, and then all of a sudden it dropped out part of the way through. And the way that Wirecast typically works is once it drops, there's no way to actually just restart it. It makes you have to create a whole nother stream, and obviously you know how that goes. Then you have to tell everybody, here's the stream here. So we'll get this published. But I do want to thank everybody for joining. I want to definitely thank you, Donna, for being on tonight for our 100th episode. Nick, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Co-hosting. I mean, I have to say, since we made that switch, you do a fantastic job with that. Help keep us on track. Help keep the show moving along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes. You did a good job, Rick. Very good job as co-host.
Thank you. Thank you.
So a couple of quick notes just for everybody. Next week's show is going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're moving it out 1 hour. We've got a great guest lined up. She's from Australia. I won't say anything more about that, but we've got next week's guest. And then for those of you who do want to get notified about our blog post recap, has a link to the video and also some additional topics. You can go to socialchefs.com/subscribe. By the way, Donna, what's a good place for people to find you?
That's a hard question to answer because there's so many answers. But let's just start first at the website, which is mostraining.com, mostraining.com. And then I would love to have you follow me on Twitter. It's under my name, Donna Gilliland. Lots of L's, Gilliland. So Donna Gilliland. Instagram is the same, only with an underscore, Donna_Gilliland. And then Moss Training, I'm on Facebook under that name as well. You'll find me personally on LinkedIn under Donna Gilliland. And I won't say anything more because that was quite a list, but I think you get the idea that I'm findable. I am findable.
And we just put your Twitter profile up so that way people know where they can to make sure they get the right Donna, because I think you mentioned there were 2 of them, right?
Yes, there are apparently. otherwise I wouldn't have had to go with that underscore at Instagram.
Yes. So I want to say thanks to everyone. Who want to connect with us on our social media channels. We're at Social Chefs on all those channels. We'll have a record up for everybody. But thanks a lot for being here for our 100th episode. We appreciate everything you all do, for tuning in, for giving us just fantastic questions. And we will see you next week.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Bye, everyone.